Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Russia's launched 176 strike drones at Ukraine overnight into Wednesday. Ukrainian forces recorded drone impacts at 12 locations in the course of the attack. Russian forces attacked civilian and port infrastructure with strike drones overnight in the Odessa region. Their forces also carried out more than 20 attacks using artillery, drones, and a missile across 3 districts in the Dnipro region. Also, Russian forces used guided aerial bombs, killing 1 person, injured others, and destroyed residential buildings during an attack in Zaporizhia. Russian attacks disrupted part of the city's public transportation system following overnight strikes on April 8 in Kherson. In addition, Moscow's forces have begun deploying a new type of anti-personnel mine known as Pryanik and are mining urban areas using it in Kherson. The new mine is about half the size but more powerful than the previously used pedal mines and contains around 30 grams of explosive material, which is sufficient to severely injure or amputate a foot. Local authorities have urged residents to limit movement due to the threat. In Russia, Ukrainian drones struck a fuel storage facility, setting 2 storage tanks on fire and caused a large blaze visible for dozens of kilometers at the marine oil terminal in occupied Crimea. The facility supplies fuel to Russian military forces. Ukrainian drones also struck urban areas, wounding 3 people, according to the Russian-installed leadership in the occupied city, and it also damaged apartment blocks and private houses in Luhansk. On the front line, Russian forces have likely begun a spring-summer offensive and are increasing pressure along the front line in eastern Ukraine. Russian units are using small assault groups and light vehicles more actively and are attempting to improve their positions along the line. Experts say the main phase of the offensive is expected later in spring or early summer, when vegetation will provide better cover for advancing troops. Russian forces are trying to move closer to key cities and cut Ukrainian supply routes after previous attempts in one direction failed, shifting their efforts to alternative approaches. Control over high ground and heavily urbanized areas in Sloviansk and Konstantinivka is expected to become the central objective. If Russian forces advance farther, they could bring major Ukrainian-controlled cities within artillery range and improve their drone operations by establishing better coverage of the airspace. Now moving to the Middle East, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 2-week suspension of U.S. bombing operations against Iran in exchange for the immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. He stated that the ceasefire would be mutual in a message published on Truth Social platform. Iranian authorities accepted the ceasefire and declared what they described as a, quote, major victory, stating that the United States had agreed to their proposed plan, according to an official statement in Iran. Israeli authorities are expected to join the 2-week ceasefire. The U.S. Air Force launched a massive strike on the largest road bridge near the city of Karaj in Iran, using carpet bombing tactics to destroy the structure. The bridge was considered a key part of the region's transport infrastructure and a possible logistic route. The IDF says it destroyed 8 bridges over the past 24 hours, saying the strikes were meant to disrupt the enemy's military logistics and troop movements. At the same time, reports are emerging that Iranian authorities are organizing mass demonstrations on bridges and at key infrastructure sites, placing civilians in areas vulnerable to possible strikes. According to observers, this may be an attempt to complicate future attacks, effectively using people as human shields. In the Hulepolet sector, Ukrainian FPV operators carried out a series of precision strikes against enemy equipment. During the operation, 2 BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launchers, 1 BM-27 Uragan, as well as a rare 1L-219 Zoo counter battery radar station were destroyed. This significantly complicates Russia's counter battery operations, bolstering the security of Ukraine's regional artillery operations. During a recent mission, Ukrainian drone operators paused their efforts for a time to closely monitor Russia's movements. They then launched FPV drones, delivering precision strikes against Russian military gear and personnel. Now, a look at this strike from both angles: the moment of impact, captured by the occupiers' own cameras, and the work of Ukrainian FPV operators guiding drones directly to their targets.
Супер, сейчас идет свой. Ну-ка, братан, давай за дерево. Садимся! Вывод! Да, братан, поехали. На магазины, назад. Нет, на магазин поменял на автомате. Води. Я тоже 300, блядь. Давай.
And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.